Hi everyone. Very happy to be here today. So I will share with you some of our learnings. How many of you have heard about HotelQuickly before actually? Wow, great to hear. How many of you have booked with us? Any customers? No? Well, I hope you will after this presentation. So let me introduce you a bit to what we do. So HotelQuickly is a company that we started now exactly 2 years ago. And we focus on last-minute hotel booking in Asia Pacific. So it's an application that you can see here. It's a mobile-only product available on iOS, Android, BlackBerry. And we focus on selling out the empty rooms of the hotel. So whatever room they have left, they'll just give them to us and give big discounts, on average 20-30% cheaper than anywhere else. So this presentation, I'll be talking about how we started this company 2 years ago, how was our first application, and what difficulties we had. So essentially, when we launched this company, so we launched in March 2013, it's been 1 year and a half, pretty much online. And the first months were very, very tough. We didn't have money at the beginning, and we found that we had so many issues, like the bookings were just not coming in. So we had to find out why people not booking. So I'll be introducing, what kind of changes we made to the product, to the hotel offering, to the marketing channels in order to finally get bookings and traction and be able to reach the level we are now. So when we started this concept, we heard about those numbers, which were pretty impressive to us. So 5 of us, 5 co-founders, we came up together and we talked about this concept of last-minute hotel booking. Initially, we heard about it from the US, so there were already some competitors in the US market and Europe that launched a similar application, but in Asia, no one was doing it. So we started doing some research, and we saw a few numbers here which are pretty interesting. So in the world, there are 2.1 billion mobile devices. About 70% of the users would not leave the smartphone at home, so they use it pretty a lot. In APAC, almost half of the travel planning is done at some point via mobile, so people do a lot of research on mobile phone. And we know that majority of hotel bookings on mobile are made for the last minute, so usually within 24 hours of checking in. And on the hotel side, numbers were pretty interesting. So there were actually a lot of hotel rooms unsold. On average, 25% of rooms in Asia Pacific are empty every night. Hong Kong is about 12%, so a bit less, but still, it's pretty big numbers. There is some price lifting situation in the hotel industry. So the hotel rates you're going to find are the same on every single website, even though they all can have discounts, they actually don't. The rates are the same. And hotel just cannot build their own app. They need actually some solution to promote them. So how did we set up this company? So actually the 5 of us came together. Myself, I'm in charge of sales, so I'm on the hotel relationship side. But we had to build up a product at the beginning. So we had our CTO, Michael Juhas. He moved from Europe to the region. And he's the first one who started working on the product. So we started working on building up an app for iOS, an app for Android, plus a whole backend experience system, which was pretty complex. We had also some freelancers on the side who help out with a small project that we outsourced. One of the big problems we started to see at the beginning was freelancers were not the way to go at all. I would say that's a big failure that we had in the first month of launching. So yeah, we had some freelancers in India helping us out. What happened is that right away we started to see some codes leaking around. So we started seeing connections coming from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, from a lot of countries around which were not supposed to be there. So our CTO decided to actually move everything in-house. So first failure, don't use freelancers from day one, especially on the IT side. So yeah, we just decided to cut them off and then hire our own developers. So that's how we have actually 2 more developers join us at the early stage before we launched. So we started working on that from October 2012 until the launch in March 2013. When we launched, we had the first design, which was on iOS, Android, when the backend system was launched. But at that time, there was actually no customer service. So we just focused on launching a product that was going to be on the market, but we didn't listen to any of the customers, because first we didn't know who they were. We just focused on copying what was already on the market, bringing the same to Asia. I'll show you a few screenshots so you can laugh at them actually. That was the first design that we worked on. That was actually before launching. Actually, the app now is totally different. So I'm not too proud of this. So you know, we just had some raw design made by some freelance designer. Yeah, it's not that pretty. There was obviously no UX was done. It was very basic, and we were focusing mainly on saving money at that time. So you can see here, all in English, user experience terrible, colors heavy. Yeah, just a few more screenshots over here. So yeah, text is very small. Okay, so that was the launch time. So yeah, March 2013 we launched on iOS, Android, and backend system. At that time we launched 6 countries at the same time, so it was Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. We had about 120 hotels signed at that time, so actually we signed them one by one in all the countries, the sales team. But compared to now, it's a very different number. Now we have about 4,000 hotels to do comparison. But it was okay to go on the market. We were showing 6 hotels per city, because we didn't have that many and wanted to show a small selection to our customers. Only one language, which was English at that time. And our app was pretty similar to our US and European competitors. So I'll show you a few screenshots. It's already a bit better than the previous screenshot I showed you. So you can see that our designers worked quite a lot on this. So again, they started working on improving the design, improving the colors. But again, we didn't listen too much to the customers at that time. So just ready to get the market. So we did our soft launch in March 2013, and very fast we started to experience quite a lot of issues. You know, first of all, we had quite an aggressive financial model, but what happened after we launched? There were no bookings. That was quite a big issue. So you know, we started to wonder, okay, so we're starting to get downloads. I would say, no, the most worrying was actually the first few days where there were no downloads. That was even worse. So you know, we came to the market and we started to wonder why people don't download the app. So first we started to do it one by one, so we were giving around our business cards and events, and so I see, wow, 1 download, 2 downloads. But we noticed that that was not the way to scale up, obviously. So we started working on the mobile marketing. We started doing a lot of mobile advertisement on Facebook, doing some PR, different channels. But again, downloads started to come in. You know, we started to get 10,000, 20,000, I think up to 50, 100,000. We were spending quite some money on mobile marketing, but again, bookings were extremely low, so we thought, okay, there must be something wrong, we have to work on this. So how did we do that? Well, after wasting quite some time and money, we started to think, let's talk to our customers, that's the only way to find out. So first we wondered, so who are our customers actually? Okay, that's a good question. So, you know, myself, I booked a few times, and I already started asking myself, you know, what situation did I book and what situation I wouldn't book with us, so there were already a few user cases. We started to ask our staff as well, like, why are you not booking with our app? It's an issue. And then we started, so we did a few different things. We had asked our existing customers, so the few people who booked with us, so what did you like about the app? What did you don't like? What do you want to improve? What kind of issues do you face? What do you think about the competitors? Do you like them? Do you hate them? And very interesting, we started going one-on-one to talk to people on the street. So we're not worried about it. So we did it in different countries. I did in Hong Kong, we had people in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. They just started taking the phone on the street. They went to talk to like people at Starbucks, for example, random people we didn't know, so like Starbucks, airport, train station, you know, like coffee shops in general. We approach random people and say, hey, I just created this app. I'd like to get some of your feedbacks. Can I buy you a coffee, for example, or can you spend 10 minutes of your time giving me some feedback? So we had a lot of people from very different backgrounds. We had, of course, locals, expats, students, like very different crowd in all the markets. And we asked, okay, so what do you like about it? What don't you not like? So it gave us actually a lot of feedbacks on the UX. The UX was actually pretty wrong. So a lot of people didn't understand how to book, didn't understand how to do the credit card number, didn't understand how to change, like multi-line, this kind of stuff. And the localization was pretty bad, so they say we only had English, which was, yeah, Asia is big in more languages. So we worked on all this, and we worked on localizing the app. So that's when we actually launched in traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, Vietnamese, Thai, Bahasa. And we had to make some pretty radical changes on the product. So I would say the next few months we're really focusing on changing a lot of functions, both UX but also affecting sales, affecting marketing. First one is about hotel choices. The first product that we launched had only 6 hotel choices. And every single person we asked, they told us, we want to see more hotels. 6 is not enough. So over time, we first increased to 8, then to 9, then to 10. Now we actually put some filters. Now we show more than 10, but that was a big feedback we had. What's very interesting here is that initially we just copied our US competitor, which was showing, I think, 6 or 8 hotels. I know they managed to raise $90 million, 9-0 from this. So we thought, okay, we should work here as well. But in Asia, no, it didn't work. People have totally different tastes here. So that was one of the first things that we noticed. Second thing was that people didn't notice the discounts. That was really on the UX side. And you're going to ask, why is that? So we asked people, okay, so how do you think about our prices? Because we show them the final price, and we're already 30% cheaper than any website. But still didn't notice. The big problem is that the online travel agent created some kind of situation where they all claim to have discount, and they all claim to have like 100% discount, 200, or crazy numbers, which are totally fake, but they all have the same price. But it's about the perception that they created for the customers, and we had to align ourselves with that. So we had to start choosing, what benchmark, so what price we want to compare ourselves to. In this case, we decided to compare our prices to our competitors. So let's say Agoda, Booking.com, so discount, but now you see on the app it's actually discount compared to them. We had a big issue with should we include tax or not include tax in the price? Those are like very small things that customers don't notice, but actually it makes a huge difference in the conversion rate. So all our competitors exclude tax on the first screen when they show your rate, and you'll notice when you book a hotel, boom, next screen, it increases by 20% the rate. So yeah, just because they include or don't include the tax on the service fee. And also the way they work is very interesting, because if you connect on the same website from different countries, you're going to see different prices. So you're going to check a hotel rate, open the website from Hong Kong, you're going to see it straight. Open the website from Europe, you're going to see like 20% more. Open the website in Thai, whoop, 10% cheaper. It actually varies a lot. Customers don't know about it because you always check it from the same location, but they're actually very tricky. So they have different UX and different pricing for different customers. So we had to work on that, and we didn't know about all this stuff, so we really changed the product. So we decided to, in the end, do the same at them, so we don't include tax on the first screen, but we added up on the next screen, so it's directly comparable. We started including the vouchers on the first screen, so the first price that you see actually includes all the vouchers that you may have. But in the end, it's a real rate that you're actually paying. But yeah, it also helps us to be cheaper. And we decided to compare our rate directly to our competitors. Another difference was, what's the definition of a good deal? What do you think is a good deal here? Who would think that a good deal is the best discount? One person. Who would think a good deal is the cheapest rate? Yeah, quite a lot of people. Who would think a good deal is the cheapest 4-star hotel available? No? Okay, well, you can see that people have very different perception of what is a good deal. And at the beginning, we didn't know about that. So, we started launching and we thought, okay, we'll just have the best discounts. But then we can have amazing discounts. We had like half price on 5-star hotel, and people were still like, oh, this is expensive. That was an issue. And then we had some hotels were actually the same price as any website, but they were like a 2-star hotel. People were like, oh, this is cheap, it's a good deal. So we had to ask people around, so what do you think is a good deal? And that's how we created the different UX. So now our main section is actually based on the percentage discount. So people can see directly what hotels are the most discounted compared to internal rate, but that's how we also had to include some filters so that we can show the cheapest rate available, so that we try to make everyone happy at the same time. But yeah, that was a big issue because people have different perception. Localization was very important. So as I mentioned, we first launched in English, and a lot of people in Asia don't speak good English or want to see, of course, the product in the language. That's why we increased the language to, so we added simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, Thai, Vietnamese, Bahasa, Indonesia, and now we're in the process of adding Bahasa, Malay, Korean, Japanese. Localization was a huge issue, and I think that's something that you're going to face in Asia if you launch a country in any country. If you launch a product in any country in Asia, localization is very important, and it's not only about translation, it's about testing the product. So you have to really show the user experience to different customers. Just to give you some example, in Hong Kong, recently I found that people didn't redeem the vouchers in Cantonese. So I was wondering, okay, why is that? Why they use so many vouchers in Indonesia, in China, but not in Hong Kong? And then I just showed the app to some people again in Starbucks, in this place. I just went there and I asked people, okay, so can you show me how you redeem a credit on the app? And then when I showed to people who were from Hong Kong reading the word in Cantonese, the Cantonese wording was just wrong actually. But the same word in Taiwan, people could understand it perfectly. The same word in China, no issue, but specific to Hong Kong, those two characters were just not the right ones. Yeah. So we had to tweak the product again because we found, yeah, like people in different countries, even between Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, like the same word and they use slightly different wording, so you have to adapt to this. And we had to do a lot of testing, obviously, because yeah, like we launched, some translation, but there are always some typos, and sometimes you can translate the string of text, but then once you put it on the app, on the screen, it actually doesn't fit. Another example recently, like in Simplified Chinese, we found that we translated free for you, and in Simplified Chinese on the app, it means free to help you, which didn't sound good, just because the person who translated did it as a string, but not in the right context. So localization is very important, and for us, it's really a constant improvement. Multi-currency, another big issue in Asia is that there are so many currencies, and it's very hard to find the payment gateways that accept all of them. So we had some big issue again when we launched. People just refuse to pay. They say it only collects US dollar, I'll be charged some fees when I have to pay, or I shouldn't pay with you, when medium they charge like 5% more on another website. So finding a payment gateway that could accept all of this was definitely a challenge. And yeah, that's one of the reasons that people ended up looking at us. And we also created a BlackBerry version for Indonesia. BlackBerry is almost dead, but not in Indonesia. People still use it. Very good market for them, so created that only for the Indonesian market. So that's really, a place with like 250 million people pretty much, where people use BlackBerry. A few more changes, as you can see, there are quite a lot. So about 6 months ago, we launched two more booking function. Because again, when we launched a product which was focused on last-minute booking, but as I said, people have different definitions for best deal. They also have different definitions for what is last minute. So we had some people, when we first launched, we were just opening at noon every day until midnight, I think. And we decided to extend the booking window a bit, so then we launched it until from 8 a.m. until 4 a.m. the next day. And we made a radical change when we decided to go for 2 more bookings, so really actually 1 day in advance. For us, it was a challenge because we thought, okay, so we open 1 day before, will the hotels still give us the same rates? And that was a challenge. We decided that hotels, actually a lot of hotels were in favor of giving us the same rate 1 day in advance. So we thought, okay, this is great, let's do it. It was also quite some challenge on the IT side, because we had to redesign again the app, we had to redesign the backend. But that was a big change, and definitely helped to increase the number of bookings. And here we started to go away more and more from our US and European competitors. We found that one big difference between US and here from Paul is in US you can actually fly easily from one city to another in the same day. Like let's say you're in New York, you're meeting in Washington, DC, just fly there in 1 hour and you're there. In Asia, people, when they fly between countries, they tend to plan a bit more in advance. So yeah, there are a lot of last minute booking, but the definition of last minute will vary, I would say, I think 1 day pretty much. So some people told us, I'd like to fly from Hong Kong to Singapore, but I'll take the 8 a.m. flight, so I want to do the day before pretty much. So that's how, by listening to customers, we kept changing the product. Payment methods, I already mentioned it. Different user cases in different cities as well. So as I first said, we're wondering who are the customers. We had no clue really. We just had those user cases from the US, but here we found they were totally different. And interestingly, every single country or city has different user cases. So, I keep doing that recently as well to talk to our customers. Like in the past few weeks, I actually met face-to-face with some of our most regular customers. I just invited them for coffee. And I say, I just want to meet you and know why you book. And again, listening to our customers was very useful. Like I'm doing it myself again. I invite them to Starbucks, into the office, get some feedback. And I said, in Hong Kong, I met 5 customers, and I asked, so why do you book so often? Why do you book once a week with us? And out of 5 customers I met, 4 told me that they book for other people. They use our application to book for friends, colleagues, clients, family visiting Hong Kong, especially from China. And our most regular customers spend more than $1,000 a month with us. And he told me he never stayed in any of our hotels. So I was pretty surprised to hear that. So that was again, listening to the users matter, really, because we have to find out, okay, so if our users don't stay in our hotels, we have to change the communication toward them, how to get more of those people, what needs to be changed on the product, on the offering. He didn't care about the price, because his friends are paying him back, so he's not that price sensitive yet. He didn't care about the hotel because he doesn't stay there, so it's really useful. And the same, I met some guy who also works for an import-export company. He books every week with us for his clients coming from China, fancy hotel to treat them. Then we talk to people in Singapore. They book with us mainly for staycation. Staycation is a very Singaporean thing. It's, people go on holiday, they go on holidays in their own city. It's, yeah, it's very popular over there. Here, not that much yet, but they with us, we're going to create a new market. In other countries, like in Thailand, Indonesia, we found most people were actually booking with us for weekend getaways. So typically in Bangkok, people from Bangkok going on holidays to Hua Hin, Pattaya, Chiang Mai for the weekend. They go around. So yeah, we had to adapt to this. We also created a forced registration. So we forced people to register on the app in order to collect all the data and all the exchanges. So what was the new result? The new result was this. About a few months ago, we actually launched a totally different app, which was totally redesigned from scratch. You can see the screenshots here. So that's the version that's actually, at the moment, you will find it. So it included pretty much all the UX testing and all the new functions that we studied from the customers over almost 1 year. We also changed, we reviewed the mission and the vision of the company. So here's the message, why HotelQuickly? So we believe people can and should enjoy last-minute traveling because the spontaneous lifestyle enriches life. So we created a product that makes booking a makes booking a last-minute hotel fast and enjoyable. So that's a message that we want to communicate to these users, especially on the press. And as you can see, for the travelers, it's really optimized for mobile experience. So we're mobile first. We don't care about online. We don't care about offline, all the channels. Everything is built up from scratch, for mobile only, so we have to be very focused. It's about booking a room in less than 30 seconds, curated hotels, always cheaper than anywhere else, and available right now in 7 languages and 3 different types of devices. So where we are right now, so as I said at the beginning, we couldn't get any downloads, and by making all those changes, because we saw that nothing was happening, we're getting close to 500,000 downloads very soon. Over 150 destinations, 4,000 hotels, and really increased discount. Here I got a little voucher code for you. So what's the conclusion from that? So the main point is really about listening to the customers, I would say, and you have to do this from day one, and even before launching a product. So in our case, the first months were already a failure, I would say. We were so worried because we started raising a little bit of money, we started spending it, and nothing was happening really. No downloads, then no registration, then no bookings. So we had to make really radical changes to the product in order to make it a success. What happened after that, you started getting a little bit of traction, we started to hire the right people, and now the company is in a different stage. So I would say after 2 years, we managed to get $5.5 million of funding. And I just came back from our team in Bangkok last week. Now we're 50 people on the team compared to 5 people 2 years ago. But things totally changed, and it's all about the customers in here. If we didn't listen, if we just stuck to the exact same concept from day one, didn't listen to customers or just try to copy blindly what's happening abroad, it wouldn't have worked. So I would say, really focus on listening to what your customers want and just build a product for them. Okay, that's it. So if you have any question already, feel free to ask me. And I'm very open to answering them. Yep.
Still here, right? So.
Thanks. It's been a very interesting story. You mentioned it's all about the customers. I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're having a similar kind of experience as well. But in your case, the feeling I have from your speech is that you say the customers are the guests staying in the hotels, but aren't the hotels also your customers?
Yeah.
And so how much dialogue, and what problems have you faced with the hotels? Because one thing that jumps to my mind in your business is this, minimum rate, the lowest rate that can be had with all these, all the online travel agents. You seem to have a better deal, and doesn't that cause you problems?
Okay, cool. That's 2 questions. So I'll say the first one about the customers. As you say, yes, we have indeed 2 customers. But we have to put our focus mainly on one. So we found that the main focus for us is the B2C business, so the end user who is actually booking. That's where we're spending majority of the resources, especially in terms of marketing, PR, communication. The hotels, of course, are the other side, that we do B2B. But in our case, we found that acquiring hotels is a lot easier than actually acquiring the end customers. It's more about the balance, which one is hardest to acquire and where should we put the more resources. So I would say right now the B2C part is actually the biggest one. How do we get those rates is, that's my job. It's about convincing them that they should actually discount the last minute room instead of leaving them empty and losing money every night. Yeah.
I left it between A and F. Sir? B. Or maybe A. Right, okay. I just want to work correct. We're going to sue us for like that bank offers, right? Okay. Good stuff.
Hi, so thank you for sharing. So I was just thinking, when you're pitching to the hotel, I would suppose the first thing they ask you would be that how much traffic do you have, like how many viewers, how many downloads do you have. So if you do not have much download at the start, how do you convince that? Because you may not be as good as what you say, or you may be putting some 5-star hotel with some cheap hotel, which may degrade their brand name. So
yeah, well, that's about the sales side, and it's very, very tough at the beginning. We went through this. As I mentioned, we managed to sign 120 hotels before we had a product. It was not easy, I can tell you. To give you an idea, especially in Hong Kong, it took me 3 months to sign the first hotel here. It took a while, a lot of phone calls. You have to start somewhere. So what we did first, we didn't have the product, but we started showing them screenshots. And you can also make the screenshot, you just put their hotel on the screenshot, and I'm pretty happy about this. So you have to make them look nice. But it was really about showing them the potential. So we say, okay, we don't have downloads, but we're ready to get this kind of money. We know that we can sell you that many rooms once we launch. It was mainly about competition. Something especially in Hong Kong is people are scared to be the first one to jump in, even if there's no risk. Very risk-averse culture here. So when I went to hotels, I started telling them that I'm sending the competitors around. So let's say I went, for example, to HotelQuickly, I think it was the first one we signed. And I told them, look, all the hotels around you are already signing. We're like in final negotiation. But you have to do that with everyone. So then I go to the next hotel, I say, hey, HotelQuickly is signing with us. Go to the next one, I say, hey, the 2 hotels are signing with us. I mean, don't lie too much because, especially in our sector, they know each other and they do call each other. So I saw some funny emails. Like once I received one which was not supposed to be sent to me, but one hotel was sending to another hotel, hey, this guy is claiming that he's signing with you. Is that true? So they do check. You have to be careful not to oversell too much, but the beginning is really about making them play. So I think showing them the potential plus making them play with the competition.
And just a follow-up, so for your marketing channels, which one do you find is the most cost-effective? It's like obviously you do some celebrity, you do some show for you.
Yeah. I think it varies a lot from product to product. In our case, because we're mobile only, we actually get majority of downloads now organic. They come from personal invite vouchers. So it's people in the app can actually share the voucher to invite friends, and that's probably one of the best and most cost-effective channel at the moment. But to get that, you need to get the initial traction, because if there's no user, they cannot invite other users. So we got to push somewhere. But in general, we're pushing a lot of channels. We're constantly doing PR, marketing, social media, big partnerships. So now we work with like banks, insurance companies. It's about having full-time marketing people who can push it outside, plus the price effect, plus the organic effect that start to kick in after a while.
Thank you.
Oh, certainly lots of questions. Number between 1 and 6? 4. 1, 2. Talking about travel. Travel's getting big going. But here first, and then you got a question, right?
I was just wondering, you
Yeah.
mentioned a lot of outreach to clients, and your clients seem to be spread across quite a range of countries. I was wondering how often you go to those clients, how you connect with them, and how you adjust both to their cultural needs as well as to their own requests and their own personal needs.
Good question. So yeah, for that it depends on the country. So in our case now we're at later stage, so we have local team in most of the countries. Now we have 14 countries and we've got a team in 8 of them. So for those countries we're digging much deeper. So we actually met face to face with those clients, we did phone calls. For the one we couldn't reach, we just sent an email, some surveys. I think you need to find the right mix. So I can tell you that meeting face-to-face is by far the most important. At the beginning, maybe you don't want to spend time on it, but actually it's very useful. There's so many feedbacks that they would otherwise never give us. It's really worth spending the time on it, and spending a bit of money like vouchers, coffee, things like that. Then, yeah.
How often do you guys do this?
Constantly, really. Like even though now we are launched, I still call up our customers and ask for feedback. Before product launch, it's interesting to do it when you're planning to send some new release, after sending new release for them to test, or when you have a beta version. But really, it should be done over time. Like we did it, or we started doing it first after we launched our site, seeing no bookings. There was some issue there. But then after, when we launched the new version, when we were doing UX testing in different language, we even did it like on university campus as some intern hired, and we would just go on campus and show the app to the friends and ask feedbacks. And even now, we're launched, but we still do it, so it's really important. So those customers interview, but also analyzing the in-app data analytics that you have. So we collected a ton of data, we just didn't have the resources to analyze them, but now we're just gathering them to find how is like the conversion funnel, where is it blocking, where are people dropping. So you have to do both, because the data can tell you a lot, but they're not going to speak like a customer.
Got two more questions, one here, one here. For the next round. Number between 1 and 5? 4. Lucky, because things are full. Start with your next person.
Yes, I would like to know that how are you going to differentiate your website with the other similar one, which is like lastminute.com, for example. They also have hotels available for booking.
Yeah, a lot of people ask us that.
Promote your website.
Yeah, so it's about building a new brand. So we have a few key differentiations. So first one is the price, that we're way cheaper than any of those websites. Like you can compare, we show screenshots in the press. On average, we're like 28% cheaper than any website, like Agoda, Booking.com, C3, Last Minute. So the price is the first thing, because we're focusing on the last minute segment. Hotels are willing to give us those prices. Second thing is about the mobile-only focus. So from day one, we've been only focused on mobile. We don't have a website to book hotels. So that helps us to get those rates. Technically, we're not allowed to give any of those rates online. And it's because of some monopoly that the agents created. So because something in the hotel industry is called the rate party. So hotels are technically not allowed to give a cheaper rate to one agent online than they give to another online agent. So if you compare all the websites, they should have exactly the same rate. Even if it's different by $1, it's technically a bug, or they're going to rectify it in a few minutes. But interestingly, this doesn't apply to mobile channels. So that's how we came in. We exploited this little legal tweak. So we managed to get those cheaper rates. So only for mobile, only for last minute segments, very specific.
Like volcano, something like that. I mean, all is still focused on this without working.
Yeah, so now it's really about keeping the focus, because our market is huge. We got a lot of countries and cities to launch, and a lot of people ask us that. Like even some airlines came to us and asked about last-minute flights. It's such a different market, different technology. Like we need a lot more resources and people to do that. Especially the problem with flights is that the margins are very small. Most airlines actually lose money, and the agent usually they make little money on the flights. The margin is too small, so they sell flights in order to sell hotel rooms and make money there.
Number between 1 and 5? 4 as well. Okay. Thank you, Lucky.
May I ask, at the first stage, how do you target the hotel that you think they are suitable for you to grow, or maybe to get in the market?
Yeah, so I think your question goes a bit with the sales one before. Well, the first time, we had no clue, honestly, who would work with us or not, so we started talking to everyone, but I think after a few months we started to understand better who is most likely going to work with us. In our case, the first one we signed, I noticed they were tech-friendly, so they were very interested in new technology. Like in Hong Kong, some hotels are very, very conservative, and they only sell offline, very traditional, they're scared of even online channels, so those are, it's a waste of time really to talk to them. Some of the big chains, we approach them first, but they're willing to talk to you once you're bigger, so like big international chains will actually waste of time at the beginning as well. So we talk typically to 3 to 5 star hotel, only with good rating, especially open to new technology, boutique hotels, so not chains, and in good locations. So I think it's restricted a lot. So Hong Kong has around 400 hotels, something like that, which are registered, depending on how you count it. which one you count. But out of 400, there's maybe 150 that we should specifically focus on that are more willing to fit with our model and also sign. Because it has to be win-win in the end. You know, like if I focus on signing every hotel in the city, majority of those will just not fit the model and then get bookings. So it's also a waste of my time.
Brilliant, thank you very much. I see lots of questions popping up. Write them down because we have a panel discussion after the next speaker, and then you have 3 or 4 people for the price of one. So that's even almost better. Okay, number between 1 and 5. 4. Yeah, if you think you're going to stick to 4 for the next round as well, well, that's what I think, right? Okay, guys, while I'm walking over, let's give Raphael a round of applause.
Thank you.